Right everyone, it is Finn here. Welcome back to a brand new video where today we're going to be talking about Moroccan superstar Sofyan Amrabat, because if you haven't realized, he's picked up quite a bit of interest over the last few months. Jose Mourinho wants to sign Sofyan Amrabat if appointed as PSG coach. Barcelona eye Fiorentina star as Sergio Busquets' replacement. Manchester United are considering Serie A star before opting for Marcel Sabitzer loan. And finally, Liverpool retains Sofyan Amrabat's interest. So of course in today's video we're going to be talking about Sofyan Amrabat and where he should move to next, because yeah, there are some pretty big names linked to him. But of course, before we start talking about where exactly Sofyan Amrabat should move to next, let's, well, get to know him a tiny bit more. As we know, he plays predominantly as a defensive midfielder, although he can play in those central midfielder roles. But of course, if you are looking for a very solid holding midfield option out there, you don't get much better. As we know, he was absolutely brilliant with Morocco at the 2022 World Cup, helping them reach the semi-finals of the competition, which is the furthest an African nation has ever made it at the World Cup. He's also played 45 games across all competitions with Fiorentina this season, including helping them get to the semi-final of the European competition, and we could even see him lift silverware with Fiorentina.
Are you sure about that?
Of course, one of the best defensive midfielders out there, and there is no question to why he's linked to some of the best clubs around the world. Of course, before we jump into some of the clubs that he has been linked to and what club suits him best, I do want to ask you guys in the comment section down below if you would like to see more African transfer football news. Do let me know in the comment section down below, along with subscribing if you are not already and you would like to see more news like this. But of course, looking at the Atlas Lions, absolute defensive beast, the first club he's been linked to is PSG, especially if Jose Mourinho is linked to the club.
I'm European champion.
Which, I mean, I don't see why not. I know Jose Mourinho isn't quite at the heights that he used to, but looking at him, if there's one thing Jose Mourinho can do, it is win European titles.
3 for me and 2 for them.
And of course, PSG is still chasing down that trophy with big ears. I cannot see why they wouldn't go for a manager like him. And Sofyan Amrabat is the perfect Jose Mourinho signing. As we know, he does like to park the bus, and defensive midfielders has always been a huge part of Jose Mourinho's plan. As we know, from Matic to Casemiro and so many others, Sofyan Amrabat seems to be the typical Jose Mourinho kind of signing. And looking at PSG's current midfield options, without being offensive to that club, considering they are one of the richest clubs in world football with billions upon billions of pounds, it is the most distinctly average midfield I have ever seen.
No, he's got a point.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they're all okay midfielders in their rights, they're all okay at attack, they're all okay at defending, but at the end of the day, they don't really have any specialists in that team. Bar Verratti, who maybe is the only one I can make an argument for, there is no super-class, world-class midfielders there, which considering the defenders that they have and considering their attackers, it is that missing puzzle piece for PSG. And looking at Amrabat having the most solid defensive midfield role in that team, I do feel he would allow for more creative options in PSG and allow for other midfielders to either move forward or a lot more confidence in defense. I do think looking at Amrabat, he would be perfect for this PSG team, especially linking up with Moroccan teammate Hakimi. Once again, it is a Moroccan fan's dream. Although he is a defensive midfielder, his attacking numbers aren't too bad either. No, he's not notorious for getting goals or assists, but it's never been a huge part of his game. He's not like Casemiro, who's going to get 5 to 10 goals a season. But looking at a player like Amrabat, his numbers this season, if you compare him to other midfielders in Europe from around the world in the last year, getting 70 passing actions per 90 minutes puts him in the top 92% of midfielders from around the world. Looking at his pass completion, he's got an average of 89% pass completion, puts him in the top 95 percentile. In terms of progressive passes per 90, gets 8.1, puts him in the top 93 percentile. And in terms of progressive carries per 90 minutes, 1.76, puts him in the top 71 percentile. And that's not even compared to other defensive midfielders from around the world. That's just midfielders alone. So of course, if you want a man who's going to get in that absolutely crunching tackle, but is still going to get decent distribution up front, I do think looking at Amrabat, he is the man for the job. And as I said, bar maybe Verratti, he would easily be the best midfielder in that PSG team. Of course, as I said, he's not just linked to the French giants, as he's also been linked to Barcelona as a potential Busquets replacement. Looking if Amrabat did end up joining Barcelona, it would be a midfield three of him, Pedri and Gavi, and I do think he would really fit that role perfectly. As we know, Spanish teams like Barcelona are notorious for keeping possession, and considering Fiorentina have the 4th best possession in Serie A this season, I think he's really proven time and time again that in that midfield, he's really good at keeping possession, and he could really suit this Barcelona team perfectly. perfectly. I would like to say it is a bit weird though that Barcelona have said that they are not willing to pay more than £25 million for him, which considering Fiorentina's asking price is at least £40 million, I just don't quite get it. I mean, maybe it's just a personal thing for me, but I cannot understand how that you can have a holding midfielder like Sergio Busquets for almost 20 years, and you can say that, oh, one of the best defensive midfielders of all time, we're only willing to pay £25 million for a replacement.
Don't hate the player, hate the game, son.
I do think that that is quite weird. If they do want to play like Sofyan Amrabat, they are going to have to cash out a tiny bit more. But of course, as we know, Barcelona have been struggling with financial issues over the last few years, so maybe that is a huge reason for that, which once again, if you want to bring Lionel Messi back to the club and you're willing to pay him £500,000 a week instead of getting a brand new younger player, once again, it's a tiny bit odd, but it is their decision. All I'm going to say is that I do think Sofyan Amrabat joining this Barcelona team would be absolutely perfect. But of course, Amrabat has also been linked to the best league in the world, the Premier League.
The best league in the world.
With both Manchester United and Liverpool. Now, of course, as a Manchester United fan, I would absolutely love the signing of Amrabat. Although saying that the Red Devils have had an absolutely brilliant season, fighting for a top 4 spot, although Liverpool are right on their heels at the moment. I do pray that they don't catch it, to be honest.
You will never get this. You will never get this. La 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 la.
And a huge part of that success coming down to the fact that they did sign a holding midfielder in Casemiro. But of course, I will admit as a United fan, we have struggled when he's not on the pitch. Obviously struggling with suspensions this season, and looking at Manchester United winning 57% of their games without Casemiro in the squad, but winning 64 with him in the squad, proving that he is a vital part of their team, and not having that kind of coverage has been hugely costly to Man United, and it could potentially cost them a top 4 spot this season.
No!
But of course, if you do have a player like Amrabat in the squad, he doesn't even have to be a regular starter, but could come off the bench. Because looking at Manchester United, if they are going to play in the Champions League next season, there is without a doubt a desperate need for squad depth. Obviously, looking at Sabitzer, although he's been brilliant in the squad, he could potentially go back on loan or go back from loan to Bayern Munich. As we know, Casemiro is getting older, Christian Eriksen is getting older, even Bruno Fernandes is almost 30 years old. So of course, another midfielder in the squad could be hugely vital, because sadly Scott McTominay isn't quite showing the performances that he does for the national team.
One chance! Just one chance!
Therefore, I think having a solid defensive midfielder like Amrabat, it would slot into the system perfectly, and it would sort a lot of Man United's problems out. Of course, as I said, he's also been linked to the likes of Liverpool, and he has been ever since the World Cup as a potential Fabinho replacement, which once again, even though I am a Man United fan, I have to admit, Fabinho on his day, one of the best defensive midfielders out there, but this season he has totally disappeared, and of course, without him really being that strong presence in that defensive midfield role, Liverpool have really struggled this season. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the news in terms of where Amrabat has been linked to and why I think each club would suit him. Of course, I want you guys to tell me in the comment section down below, where do you think Amrabat should go to next? And of course, if you did enjoy this video, do leave a like down below and don't forget to subscribe. But of course, until next time, Finn, F-Y-N-N, cheers.